See, there are two times. एक तर तू सकाळी 8-9 वाजता किंवा मग 5-5:30 ला.
हाय स्वाती.
जमेल?
परत जॉईन करतेस आज?
उद्या चालेल.
गुड.
To listen.
You can come back.
Interesting
गुगल
topic.
मीट कधी केलं नाही. होपफुली आय कॅन डू दिस.
Oh yeah. Google Meet is I think much better than Zoom. Zoom पण चांगलं आहे. So.
हाय कानन.
Hello, Swati ma'am. How are you?
You can call me Swati. Feel free to call Swati. So I have not ever used Google Meet for presentation, but I'm seeing here that there is an option where it says present now. So I think that's what I use, right?
Yes.
Seems like it's working, but in case I mess up, goof around, just please help me out.
Sure. I think technology looks difficult, but when you start using it, you realize how easy it is, right?
It is, right?
It's
In fact, the world I feel like has come closer because of COVID. Seems like it's working. Has had its own. But in case I mess up, goof around, just please help me out. The video I'll share that we never did before.
Sure. That is true. I think technology looks difficult, but when you start using it, you realize how easy it is, right?
It is, right?
Hello, Shilpa ma'am. Are we going to record this? That will be
Yes.
helpful for future reference.
Yes. So what we are doing here is we are live streaming it on YouTube, and it will be recorded and put on YouTube. So it will be available for everybody to watch.
Hi, Prajakta.
Thank you so much.
So Kanan will be moderating this talk today. And please, just like a little bit of ground rules, keep yourself on mute so that we can hear, Swati ji very clearly. And whenever Kanan, if somebody raises a hand, you can probably ask them to unmute, and they can probably ask their question or make a comment if necessary.
Sure.
I think that's pretty much it. But would request everybody to mute because I know there's a lot of background noise, even from my end, because my kids are at home today. It's Sunday, so they're all excited. I don't know about what, but so
Yeah, what I would recommend is for everyone to keep yourself mute. I have a lot to present, so after the presentation, write down your questions so that we can take the question answers in the end.
perfect. So now
Just no
over
one
to you,
to go
Kanan.
down.
I'm going to mute myself because I don't have background disturbance. And thank you once again to both of you for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Shilpa ji. May I request everybody to please mute their phone and laptop so that we can hear out Swati ma'am and have a very great session today. Very good afternoon, everybody. Very warm welcome to Mrs. Shilpa ji, Mrs. Swati ma'am, and all the Fitistan family, Dynamic Yoga family, and all the wonderful people out there. Well, we all stock up our cupboards, right, with the healthy food. But how many of you remember to eat that healthy food? Many of us mess it up, right? For me, yes, many a times I forget to eat that healthy food. So Mrs. Swati Nawathe, she's here to help us out, guide us to how to eat right. Okay, so we're not talking about health all the time, but let's talk about how to eat right. And also she's going to let us know about the lifestyle medicine. Well, when it comes to fitness and health, Fitistan, Fit Bharat, has always come up with new initiatives, and they try to bring out the best for the society. So today, Shilpa ji, can I have your permission to introduce Swati ma'am?
Absolutely. Please. That would be
Okay.
our honor. Yes.
Okay, so Mrs. Swati Nawathe, she believes in the holistic lifestyle. She is a holistic coach also. She is a dietitian, registered dietitian for over 35 years, and she has practiced her new lifestyle medicine from American College. She is currently working in dialysis center. She's a wonderful yoga teacher, and she is very close to my heart too. So may I now request Swati ma'am to share all her knowledge with us and tell us more about this lifestyle medicine. Over to you, Swati ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kanan, for introducing me, and Shilpa also for organizing this whole event. It is my pleasure to present lifestyle medicine, which is very close to my heart. For one most important reason is what is good for me and what is good for others must be shared to create a better lifestyle for everyone. So with that, before I start the presentation, I would like us to do a little bit of self-reflection, because everybody has a different definition or concept about what health is. So in your opinion, you don't need to tell me, we are not discussing this, but just something that you can reflect for yourself. So in your opinion, do you think you are healthy today? And do you think if you are healthy because your weight is good, or is it because you're eating well, or you're sleeping well? Because there are many different concepts and many different people think differently about what they think is healthy. So just give yourself a little bit, a minute, and think whether you think you are healthy in every aspect: diet, weight, sleep. Health also includes emotional well-being. It includes stress level, and it also includes not having risky substances like alcohol, drugs, smoking, and so on. And then, if you do not think you are healthy, then this definitely would be a good webinar for you to attend, and you have a great chance to improve your health. If you think you are healthy, then maybe you will continue to stay healthy by keeping a simple, basic lifestyle. This is really age-old wisdom. We are not really inventing anything new. We have changed our lifestyle with modernization, with agriculture, with industrialization, with more money. So we are really trying to go back to basics. The other question I have was, do you have...
Swati ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. Sorry, everybody.
No, that's okay.
Major Poonia sir is here. So may I please request Major Poonia sir. Good afternoon, sir. Okay, I think he's on mute. Ma'am, you can continue.
I see his picture.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Kanan. I'm hearing ma'am को मैं सुन रहा हूँ.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for attending. It's my privilege and pleasure to see you attending my
ma'am. Please continue. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So after thinking about health, the second question I have is, do you have any of the cardiac conditions like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, or anything like a lot of fat around your waist, metabolic diseases, diabetes, arthritis, lupus, polycystic ovarian disease? So if you think of any of these, or if you have these, all of these conditions for majority of the people are because of their lifestyle. Okay. So just think about all of these things, and you have a great chance of fixing or improving these conditions by following a good lifestyle. So I'm going to start presenting now. I think I present with a window. Right. Let's go back to here. Okay. So you already know my qualifications. Let's move on to the next one. Let me just check here. Okay. I do not see myself or anybody, but I'm assuming you can see my presentation. Okay. So today's main objectives are, we are going to discuss the pillars of lifestyle medicine.
Sorry, I can't see the presentation. Can everybody else see the presentation? Yeah, now I can. Now it's maybe it's got a little delayed. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
I do not see myself or anybody else, but I don't know if you can see me, but you can see the presentation,
We can
right?
see the presentation now. Yes, thank you.
Great, great. Okay. Sorry? Okay, so today we are discussing pillars of lifestyle medicine. What are the benefits of plant-based diet? How can you prevent or reverse chronic diseases with lifestyle changes? How can you adopt these changes without sacrificing the taste of food? Because majority of the people, if food doesn't taste good, then they really do not want to go with this. What is inflammation and what are its consequences? And then the few other things that we would discuss today would be exercise, stress, sleep, relationships, and risky behaviors. Disclaimer, just generally, that majority of the people have found benefits with this diet, and they have reported that along with the lifestyle changes, they actually have resolved their conditions. But if you have any specific conditions that you think you should take permission from a physician, then by all means you should do that. But majority people find this helpful. Please take notes, and I think we are recording this presentation so you can see the presentation also. So what are today's leading causes of lifestyle changes? Some of these conditions, obesity, metabolic syndrome that includes high blood pressure, diabetes, fat around the waist, high cholesterol, hypertension, arthritis, diabetes, osteoporosis, all of these conditions are mostly because our lifestyle has changed. So, what does this mean? Simple answer, if these conditions are because of your lifestyle, then the solution has to be lifestyle change. Simple as that. Today's studies indicate that unhealthy patient lifestyle persists even after medical problems arise. Only 11% of the patients with diabetes follow healthy dietary guidelines for saturated fats, meaning they still continue to have all these fried foods, they are continuing to have saturated fat, dalda, whatever. 8% of the patients with heart disease still continue to smoke. So, experts estimate that the DNA sequence, that is genetic, explains only 10% of health variance, and epigenetics explains 70 to 90% of health variances. So, to put this into simple term, is what does epigenetics mean? It really means that all these lifestyle changes that we are going to discuss have a great power to actually turn the gene switches on and off. So if you have cancer genes and if you change your lifestyle, you have a great ability to change that gene switch, turn it off for cancer. And those are called epigenetics. And only 10% of the diseases are explained because of the DNAs. So if you are thinking that, oh, well, my mother had diabetes, so I'm going to have diabetes, or my father had, or my uncle had cancer or heart disease, then because it's in my genes, I'm going to get it regardless. So that's simply not true. Only 10% explains the changes because of genes, and 70 to 90% of the changes, you have the power in your hand to change it. So since modern diseases are caused by lifestyle, the lifestyle changes has to be the cure. Okay. So what the prevalent belief is that pharmaceuticals, supplements, biochemical treatments are the keys to health and longevity. That is simply not true. So the first pillar is whole foods plant-based diet. What is it? So wholesome foods, natural foods that come from nature in their original form, from plants, not packaged and not ultra processed foods. So we can discuss ultra processed foods a little bit more as we continue to go on. So what is it then, whole food plant-based? Wholesome fruits, vegetables, sprouts, nuts, natural fats that come from whole foods like nuts and seeds, flax, chia, walnuts, coconut, avocado, and so on. So if you noticed in these natural fats, you do not see oils, right? So we'll talk about it a little bit more in details. So in other words, if the food is not cooked in its original form, that is, sometimes people make powdered vegetables, dehydrate the vegetables, then they powder them, then they again constitute it to make chips like vegetable sticks and so on. That is highly processed food. So in other words, anything that is has additives and is very processed, it increases just remember, in general, any food that increases the shelf life, a food that is good outside on the shelf for 6 months, why is it good? Because it has additives, and which means that it reduces your shelf life. Okay, so increasing the shelf life of food is equal to reduction of your shelf life, your body's shelf life. So what is excluded from whole food plant-based diet? It's milk, yogurt, ghee, meats, fish. This is all evidence-based, and they are known to cause inflammation. So we would say, we can use organic cow's milk. So then why can't I have it? So in general, studies have shown that most of the cows are fed hormones and antibiotics that impact our health. And then there are research studies that indicate that the protein casein that is in the milk, it actually acts like a carcinogen, which is even worse than a pesticide, herbicide, food additives, and chemicals. So you might question then, everybody who drinks milk, they don't get cancer. What are you talking about, lady? You might ask me. So it doesn't really mean that everybody who drinks milk is going to get cancer. But if you have a strong history of cancer in your family, you certainly would want to consider getting off the milk or just keep it very, very limited. Another thing, I do not want to go discussing holistic nutrition today. We are sticking to science, but just think of one thing. Do you know any animal, any creature in this world who feeds off another creature's milk? We are the only creature who actually drinks somebody else's milk, right? Because it is really not meant for us. It is the protein in the milk is very hard to digest. In little babies nowadays, why do we give them formulas? Because the casein protein in the milk is very hard to digest for the babies. It can even cause intestinal bleeding, and that is why now baby formulas have come out, because the protein in the milk is just not, cow's milk is just not suitable for us. Think of one more thing. I'm not trying to convince, but just science, all this science-based information. Olden days, back 40 years ago, 50 years ago, the girls used to menstruate around age 15 or 16. But think of today's girls. They are having their periods at age 10, 11, 12. They are showing bodily changes. This is just not normal. This is because they are having so much growth hormones from meat products as well as cow's milk. And that is why they are growing much faster than their age. So they look big, but their minds are still little, like little girls of 10-year-old, and they are very confused when they grow up and they start looking bigger than their age. So that can all happen because of the animal foods. So what are the ultra processed foods? I just showed one picture of frozen foods, but anything that is put in freezer for a long time with additives, anything that has packaged foods and contains non-recognizable items which are not foods, like calcium diphosphate, sodium propionate, sodium benzoate, just to name a few. I don't know, I don't see as many additives in Indian products, but in USA, I see simple cookies might have 48 different ingredients, out of which about 10 ingredients might be food and remaining 30 to 40 ingredients are chemicals, right? From anti-caking agent to all kinds of additives that keeps the food going for an year or 6 months or 8 months. And when we have these, consume these additives, they are absorbed in the body 100%. When you consume natural food, only 60 to 70% of the nutrient is absorbed from the natural food. But when you consume additives and toxins, they are 100% absorbed, which means that these are the additives that is causing inflammation and toxins and causing diseases. So natural foods are the best. So what is the difference between whole food and vegan diet? I very often get questions from people, oh, so you are vegan, right? So the difference between vegan and whole food, on left side is all whole foods. It really doesn't mean that you have to eat a plate of just like chole that are just cooked or just carrots. All it means is that these are the foods you can use in cooking. Whereas on the right side, that veggie burger is probably made from soy protein isolate. It is fried. That cheese on top is a vegan cheese. There are French fries on the side that are deeply fried. They're usually already pre-cooked when you go to McDonald's and places like that. Those French fries come in frozen with additives in there, and then they just throw it in the oil to cook it. So that is a vegan. On the right side, it's vegan meal, but it is not whole foods plant-based. So that's the difference. Another example, on left side, for example, idlis, it is made out of rice, dals, and so on. The chutney may have coconut or cilantro leaves and mirchi. So that is all whole foods. Whereas on the right side, the pakoras are deeply fried. You can see how shiny and glossy they look. So they are vegan, but they are not considered whole foods. One of the reasons is because oil can oxidize in your body, create free radicals, and oxidation is not good for your heart or for inflammation. That is why. So why plant-based diets and what are the benefits? So we already talked about some of the benefits. It has a power to reverse or cure or change or improve the conditions of diabetes, inflammation, arthritis, Alzheimer's. Nowadays, Alzheimer's is becoming very common. People forget, they're forgetting. Studies have indicated that about 90 to 90% of the people who are suffering from Alzheimer's or dementia are because of lifestyle changes, and only about 5 to 10% comes from genetics. So that is huge. So guess what? We already talked about it. People with family history, you think it is because of family history? No, you can change it. So whole food plant-based diet, besides all these reversing conditions, they promote less weight loss because they are very low in calories. You can improve your flexibility. We have so many bodybuilders today, so many cricket players, including I believe Virat Kohli. He's a vegan. I don't know about Whole Foods, and he says that his athletic performance has significantly improved, and today he's on the top of cricket world and the best Indian player, and he's vegan. And he says that his performance improved. I was just listening to him the other day. He was saying that he was having a lot of acidity, and what was happening was that all the calcium from the bones was being pulled by the acid in the stomach, and he was losing bone weight and bone mass, and that is why he was having a lot of trouble with athletic performance. As soon as he went on vegan diet, the acidity stopped and his bone weight improved again. So what does this mean? That plant-based diets are alkaline in nature, whereas milk and animal foods are acidic in nature. They create acid load. Okay. So all of these changes can happen if you make lifestyle change as not something a temporary thing, like you say ना अरे आज मैं diet पे हूँ 2 महीने हो गए मेरा weight loss कम हो गया, you go back again and start following, go back to a routine. No, this becomes your lifestyle. And medicine does not mean there is any kind of medicine in this. Your lifestyle is your medicine. So if you are going to stop any of your medications, you make sure you take permission of your doctor. If you are a diabetic, go on this diet first. And if you notice that your sugars are running low with the medications, then you can go talk to your doctor and say, I'm following this diet, my sugars are running low. Can I lower the medication or can I try stopping the medication? But do take permission. Don't take your health and your life in your hands. So why are no oils used? We already talked that oils they oxidize and they produce free radicals. They also produce something called AGE. AGE stands for Advanced Glycation End Products. And what happens is when your oils are overheated, or if you do these days barbecue is in fashion, so any kind of dry overheating of the foods will create advanced glycation end products, and they can cause aging, they can cause wrinkles on your face, and they are not basically good for your health. But if you have, so it's not a fat-free diet, but you're having fat from nuts and seeds. So when I'm going to show you some recipes and pictures later on, but if you are having, what I do is when I cook my foods, I'm adding groundnut seed powder, roasted groundnut powder, sesame seeds, and different things in my foods instead of oil. If at all you're using oil, then use very little. I would recommend about 3 to 4 teaspoons per day per person. Say if you're a family of 4, and if you're cooking dal or a vegetable, if you use 4 to 5 teaspoons of oil for 4 people, then you're not having more than a teaspoon just for tadka. If you're giving tadka, as you see a lot of times, tadka or the vagar or the tempering that you call, when you're giving tadka, if you're seeing a lot of smoking happening there, then that oil is being oxidized. So I recommend high smoking point oils like peanut oil or mustard oil. A lot of people think olive oil is good for your health. Yes, it is good for your health, but you should use virgin olive oil which is not cooked. Do not use olive oil for tadkas because that is not helping you at all whatsoever. So some of the natural foods that are included in whole foods plant-based diet is all these fruits, vegetables. Sprouts are great. Sprouts have live enzymes in them. Dried fruits, nuts, seeds. There are different kinds of seeds. Chia seeds and hemp seeds are new foods on the block. If you feel that you want to stick to Indian food, I know these foods are available in India, but if you want to stick to foods from India and that are locally grown, flax seed is one of the best seed that you can have for a great source of omega-3 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are very good for your heart. So I'm not going to go a whole lot of details about omega-3, But just remember two things: alpha linolenic acid, or just call it ALA. It is a plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, whereas EPA and DHA are animal-based omega-3 fatty acids. There are many studies that have shown that just because you're having fish or meat products, it does not mean that you are necessarily getting better omega-3 fatty acids, but they actually add to the inflammation. So omega-6 fatty acids are pro-inflammatory, which means it can cause inflammation, whereas omega-3 are anti-inflammatory. Today in India, in the urban areas, as you can see, that the ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 is 38 to 1, 50 to 1, whereas the ideal ratio is 1 to 1. In rural India, that is in villages where people eat simple foods, the ratio is 5 to 1 or 6 to 1. So you can see that just urbanization has caused so much high dose of omega-6 that you are having today. And high omega-6, because it is pro-inflammatory, it causes all these conditions. So there are no reliable studies that show that by having fish, you are necessarily having having more better omega-3 fatty acids, but in fact they are adding the animal foods add to the inflammation. So some of the sources of omega-3 fatty acid, these are all the plant sources. You can even look them up on Google for milligrams if you want, or you can look at the recording later. But just basically remember that hemp seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, these are very rich sources of omega-3 fatty acids, or plant-based, that is ALA. Then all kinds of various greens like palak, methi, or cabbage, all kinds of greens, broccoli, all of them have omega-3 fatty acids, but they are in lesser amount, not as rich as the seeds are. These are some of the omega-6 fatty acids from soybean oil, corn oil, mayonnaise. Walnuts and almonds are good for you. They are a combination of omega-6 and omega-3. Same thing with cashew nuts. So they are okay to have. Then now coming on to some of the nutrients from plant-based foods. All these nutrients that I'm going to go over, just remember that they are present only in plant-based foods. They do not have any of these nutrients into any kind of animal foods, whether it's fish, meat, chicken, eggs, milk. Phytonutrients are not present in animal foods. They're present only in plant foods. So what are they? They contain lots of fibers. They promote healthy gut microbiome. There are compounds that are anti-inflammatory, antioxidative, anti-angiogenic, and they promote anti-proliferation. So let me explain a quick details about it. Everybody knows anti-inflammatory. Inflammation is bad for your health. We already talked about oxidation. Anti-angiogenic, it means that sometimes your body produces blood vessels and then they branch out and they create havoc in your body. So these phytonutrients are anti-angiogenic, meaning they do not spread like branches and cause blood vessels to spread around. And proliferation is the term used for cells. When the cells proliferate in a body, they cause cancer. So phytonutrients are anti-proliferating, meaning they are anti-cancer. So what are some of the phytonutrients? All the yellow, orange, red vegetables. So think of carrots, think of oranges, tarbooj, kharbooj, all of these yellow, orange, the yellow pepper, orange pepper, red pepper, the Kashmiri pepper, all of those are carotenoids and phytonutrients. The second one is phytoestrogens. They are present in soybeans and seeds. There has been a lot of confusion about this because for a while, I know I have some friends one of my friends had breast cancer, and she said the breast cancer was because of estrogen hormone. So she's not eating soybeans anymore because soybeans has estrogen. But to remove the confusion, the estrogen has a similar structure to phytoestrogen, but they are totally two different foods. Estrogen is a hormone. Soybean has phytoestrogen, not estrogen, and it actually does not have any negative effects. In fact, the phytoestrogens have protective effect, and they have shown to reduce the risk of breast and prostate cancer. So human estrogen, that is the actual hormone, turns the breast cancer cells on, whereas soybean turns the breast cancer cell off. So we were talking about epigenetics, right? So soybean is an epigenetic that turns your breast cancer cell off. Polyphenols, these are also compounds present in plant-based foods. They protect us from oxidative stress, once again maintain health of blood vessels, inhibits clot formation, and polyphenols are all the purple and reddish color fruits and vegetables. So red and black grapes, berries, beets, kidney beans is rajma. Now I see in the market here in India too red cabbage, brinjals, nuts, olives, flax seeds. These are all great sources of polyphenols. And then comes the plant sterols. There was some confusion about cholesterol and plant sterols. So actually, plant sterols are the foods that are very high in fiber, and they block the cholesterol from being absorbed in your body. So the higher fiber food you eat, the better chances of you getting the blocking of the cholesterol. There are two types of fiber, soluble and insoluble fiber, and the soluble fiber actually does help to reduce the cholesterol like oatmeal, whereas insoluble fiber creates bulk, gives bulk, and it helps good bowel movement, and both of them are necessary for your body. A general recommendation for women is 21 to 25 grams of fiber, and for men it is 30 to 38 grams. To give you an example, a good large size apple has about 4 grams of fiber. A good size orange is about 3 to 4 grams of fiber. Whereas if you eat all these whole grains like sprouted moong or rajma, if you have about 3/4 cup of rajma, you get about 8 grams of fiber. So you can see how easily fiber can add up. And this is the minimum amount. It means that you can also have more. The more is the better. Okay. Heart blockage. There's a great story. When I was doing my lifestyle medicine course, one of these cardiologists, his name is Caldwell Esselstyn. He told this story while I was doing the course. He has a friend who is a 46-year-old physician, and he had blockage in his left artery, arterial descending artery. He was dictating his notes after he did some surgery on patients. And as he was dictating notes, he suddenly started sweating and he was having a heart attack. He was tested and they found out that he had blockages. One of the big blockage he had was in the left arterial descending artery. And that is an artery which is very hard to reach. And basically the cardiac surgeon told him that it's a very hard to reach artery and it's very risky to go in there to remove the blockage. So it is really not operable. So this physician got very, very depressed. Obviously, he's a young guy and he was told the blockage cannot be removed, which means that if he exacerbated, if he had any increased physical activity, running, fast walking, he could have chest pain and he could have another heart attack. So this cardiologist invited him and said, hey, you and your wife, why don't you come over for dinner at my house? This cardiologist, Dr. Esselstyn, and his wife had been already plant-based for 8 to 10 years. He's in his upper 80s now, and his wife is still bicycling and running around, and they both follow plant-based diet. So he called him and said, listen, your blockage is inoperable, so you really have no hopes. So how does it hurt you to follow the plant-based diet? So this physician was very healthy. He was at good weight. People often think that if you're at good weight, you're healthy, right? This physician was at perfect weight. He was exercising. And the only bad things he was doing was he was a physician. He had no time. He was eating all these fast foods, hamburgers and fries and milkshakes for a quick meal, as he was busy doctor, So then this doctor decided to go and try the plant-based diet. This physician, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, he says that having 5 to 6 green vegetables a day or 5 to 6 times, it actually cleans the epithelial lining in your arteries of the heart walls, and it actually clears the blockage. So let us see what happened here. So this happened in 2017. If you see this left side picture on this arrow here and the little one on the corner, his artery is almost blocked here, 95% to 90% blocked. After 2.5 years, this doctor was following whole food plant-based diet. This heart physician is very, very strict. He absolutely does not allow you to have any kind of oils. You can have some nuts and no fruit juices, no sugar, and focus is all on plants, fresh fruits, and all kinds of sprouts and beans. And in 2.5 years, he was practically heart disease free. His cholesterol had come down, his LDL has come down, and he was running and he was actually feeling much better. So, look at this. Even as a dietitian, I was totally taken aback to see that somebody could actually clear their artery blockage by just following this diet. And of course, the other lifestyle changes. So, how do you kickstart this whole food plant based diet? Some people prefer to do slow transition. That is up to you if that you want to do that. Some people have hard time just suddenly switching all the way, but some other people have found that just do a whole switch and they find astounding results. They see weight loss and they start feeling better. Their asthma is gone, their eczema is gone. So a lot of things happen in just 4 weeks. I have a friend who had a very bad hemoglobin A1C. His A1C was like 12.1, which is very, very high. In just 2 to 3 weeks, his A1C came down to 6, and he was practically free of diabetes. But then, in order to prove that you are free of diabetes, you have to show the same result for a while. So start doing grocery lists, keep the foods on hand all the time. So when you're hungry, you make sure that you have this food on hand, so you're not going grabbing all these packaged foods and chips and whatnot. Free yourself with constant calorie counting, because when you're hungry, you are going for an apple, you're going for carrot sticks. So how much calories can you get? So you really don't have to count that. अरे मैंने आधा कप का भी ये खाया, उतना ये खाया, मैंने पनीर की ग्रेवी खाई, हाँ आधा कप तो मेरे 400 कैलोरीज हो गए. If you don't touch those foods, you don't need to count calories. Planning for whole food plant-based diet, I strongly recommend, unless you have issues with raw foods. Raw foods, there are many benefits to it because they have live enzymes and they fill you up very quickly. So if you eat about 50% raw food, that is salad, sprouts, you can have sprouted moong, you can add some roasted peanuts in it, you can add some nimbu, chaat masala and make a nice bowl. You can add some cucumbers in it or tomato and make a nice big bowl of salad. And that's all raw food, and you can have that as a meal. Eat between, this is not recommended by lifestyle medicine, but we all know Ayurveda recommends that eating between sunrise and sunset as much as possible. Your digestive fire is at its peak during these hours. Also, avoid eating heavy meals before bed, because meals take a few hours to digest. If you're having just fruits and vegetables, it takes about 2 to 3 hours to digest. But if you're having very rich meals, it can take 7 to 8 to 10 hours. So when you go to sleep not digesting the food, then you will get all these symptoms of burping, acidity, foul smelling gas, and whatnot. So when we eat all this, many people question, how am I getting enough protein? So protein has been given too much importance. We really don't need so much protein. Our needs are only 8 to 10% of total calories coming from protein. So if you are about 60 kilos in weight, you need about 46 to 50 grams of protein, the max. And people today are eating 80 grams, 90 grams. They're having protein powder as drinks. None of that is really necessary. If you're working out, you can still get protein from the beans and sprouts and other things that are high in protein. But by eating way too much protein than what your body needs, it's just causing extra burden on your kidneys. Not good for you. World Health Organization says 80% of the heart disease, diabetes, obesity, cancer can be prevented or reversed by simply changing your lifestyle. So what are these lifestyle changes? We call this lifestyle medicine because it is your medicine for better health and weight loss. You can get rid of many medications, problems, and issues. This all comes from the pillars of lifestyle changes. We just went over the first pillar, healthful eating, and this is all evidence-based. Like I mentioned to you about Dr. Esselstyn, who put his friend on a strict diet. That is the intensive therapeutic diet, can actually reverse your chronic illness. Such a diet is very rich in fiber, antioxidants, and nutrient dense. Choose a variety of minimally processed vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Second pillar of lifestyle medicine is exercise. Minimum recommendation is 2.5 to 3 hours a week. Based on your age, you should modify what you are going to exercise. If you are 75 years old, you don't want to go running unless you have been doing it from before. Out of these 2.5 to 3 hours or 5 to 6 days a week, I would recommend at least 2 to 3 days you should involve some aerobic activity that increases your heart rate. Strength training. Strength training does not mean you have to always go to gym and pick up weights. If you are doing yoga postures like Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, you're putting a lot of weight on your hands. That is strength training. So there are many strength training yogas that you can do, especially if you're holding that posture, that becomes strength training. Exercise has also shown as an effective antidepressant. It improves your mood. And when you are in good mood and you're exercising, just imagine you're sitting like a couch potato watching TV all day, then you are going to sit with a bag of chips or chuda or farsan and eat those. But when you exercise, you automatically get into good mood of eating healthy. All your healthy habits start coming in because you become conscious of your health. Third pillar is stress. Reducing stress. Develop strategies to manage stress. There are two types of stresses: good stress and bad stress. For example, your daughter is getting married, or you got promotion, you got all excited about it, or you are going on a trip, on a vacation, and you have been planning this vacation for past 3 months, but you still feel a little stress, right, as you're planning. So that can be a good stress. Whereas the other stress would be things that is causing anxiety, depression, and this type of stress will cause obesity, immune dysfunction, and more. So what happens when you're very stressed? Normally, when you are eating food, your blood gushes to your stomach to start the digestion. But when you're very stressed, the stress can cause a very bad impact on your brain. Your body does not want to shut down the brain. So what it does, it gushes all the blood supply to your brain to deal with the anxiety and depression. So when the blood supply gushes to the brain, you're not getting enough blood to digest your gas, what is happening in your stomach, and that is how you start having. Some people, they hear bad news. What happens? The first thing they do is run, and they have diarrhea. I've seen people doing that. But why? Because immediately their blood gushes to the brain to handle the stress, and your blood, you start seeing stomach symptoms, or you do not digest foods well. High stress jobs can cause problems like constipation, diarrhea, irritable bowel syndrome. We already talked about blood gushing. So higher rates of mood disorders. There are studies that show the deficiency of B12, vitamin, calcium, iron, zinc, and omega-3 can cause high rates of mood disorders. Positive emotions. Bring in some positive emotions. Appreciate beauty. Become forgiving. If you're mad at somebody because someone did something bad to you, or let go after some time. Don't hold on to it, because when you forgive, you immediately feel that stress relief, and you feel like, okay, I let go, and that burden reduces your emotions too. Be honest with yourself. Be spiritual. Teamwork helps. Sometimes helping out each other. When you see somebody in trouble, like at work, many people will say, one person is just chatting away, relaxing, whereas other person is very hard pressed. By all means, you can ask him, can I help you with something? That's called teamwork. And these positive emotions studies have shown that these positive emotions come when you are healthy. Optimism, purpose in life, social support. All of these reduce the risk of distressing thoughts and lower the risk of suicidal ideation. Stress and trauma can create inflammation, weaken your immune system, and allows cancer to take root. Fourth pillar. So we discussed diet, exercise, and stress. Fourth pillar is healthy relationships. Form and maintain relationships. Even the people whom you don't like, they are not the most favorite people in your life. Try to be good to them for a change and see what happens to you. How does your relationship changes? How do your emotions change? So positive social emotions and relationships can affect your physical and mental and emotional health. They can help reinforce healthy behavior. Let go. Hanging out with friends and relatives who vibe with you. If you think somebody is bringing a lot of negativity, try to stay away from that negativity. Hang out with the friends who bring in the positive vibes. So there are two types of sufferings: necessary suffering and unnecessary suffering. It comes in psychology. Now, would you say that, well, necessary suffering, how can any suffering be necessary? What it means is that people sometimes go through divorce, sometimes old age, the death of your family member happens. This is called necessary suffering because you feel sad, you feel like you're suffering temporarily because you lose a person in your life, something that you do not have control over. But unnecessary suffering is something that you have control over it. And that is one of the suffering that, for example, huge big ego can make your life miserable, not just your life, but it can also make other people's life miserable. So there is a saying by this person: pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So you have a choice of not suffering. So that's the fourth pillar of lifestyle medicine. Nutrition and emotional well-being. Nutrition plays a huge role in improving emotional well-being. There are studies that have shown that just switching your diet from fast foods, high-fat foods, to eating just fresh fruits and vegetables and nuts, just in 2 days there is improvement in your mood. Reduce depression. It brings in teamwork, improved feelings of health, and it promotes exercise, weight control, and so on. So, fifth pillar, sleep. Improve your sleep to at least 7 to 8 hours each day, no more, no less. Including me, I used to say when I was much younger that, oh, I can do with 5 hours of sleep. Yes, you can do with 5 hours of sleep, but today's young population, sometimes we say, अरे हमारे बच्चे तो रात भर सो के पढ़ाई करके भी दूसरे दिन चले जाते पढ़ाई एग्जाम देने के लिए, and we as we get older we feel like we need that sleep. But today's younger kids, do you see how obese they are getting? When you do not get enough sleep, it produces a hunger hormone, ghrelin, and it can cause you to eat. I have seen young teenage kids today. They eat dinner, then they are up at night till 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and then they have a second meal again after midnight. And that's causing obesity. So, sleep is necessary for everyone. If you don't get good sleep, it can also cause sluggishness, reduce attention span, depress mood, decrease calorie burn. So all of this happens with when you don't sleep. Increases insulin resistance when you eat like crazy, like mindless eating. Decreases performance. So another way to get to sleep, many people have hard time going to bed on time. Reduce blue light. So what is blue light? Blue light is your screen that is in front of your eyes all the time. TV, your laptops, and your telephones. So before going to bed, try to reduce the blue light at least an hour or 2 hours before you sleep. In your bedroom, keep the lights very dim and eventually completely shut it off, because when that's a circadian cycle, right? At night, there is a reason why nature has created this circadian cycle. The sun comes out around 6-7 o'clock, it starts getting dim and the light starts going away. Then the melatonin secretion starts coming in, and that promotes sleep. So we go out and depress our melatonin secretion by doing things that does not promote. So that was the fifth pillar. The sixth pillar is risky substances, alcohol and smoking. So smoking not only just cause lung cancer, but they have shown to increase chronic diseases and health. Now people are having smoking cigarettes that are highly filtered, and they think filtered cigarettes are better for them, but they have about 70 different cancer causing chemicals that go deep in your lungs. So ventilated filters actually are not good for your period. Cigarette is not good for you, but these are all carcinogenic chemicals. Smoking can also lead to diabetes. About 30 to 40% of diabetes is in current smokers. 40% of cancers are related to tobacco use, not just smoking, but even the chewing tobacco. that can cause cancer in your cheeks and in your throat and so on. Rheumatoid arthritis is happens because of inflammation, and smoking increases inflammation in your body. Impaired immune system, erectile dysfunction, preterm delivery, ectopic pregnancy, low birth weight. Risk of bone fractures because osteoporosis is very common in smokers. Muscle aches and pains. These are just a few. Alcohol use disorder. Alcohol has become a fashion these days. 10% of the cancers can be because of excessive alcohol use. When people drink too much, they get into accidents. They have more chances of getting high blood pressures, strokes, unintentional injuries. So, what is a standard alcoholic drink? A 12-ounce beer or a 5-ounce wine, or 1.5 ounce like a hard liquor. So as long as you stick to that, it may be okay, but it is really okay to not have alcohol at all. Drinking alcohol in parties should not be a fashion. By all means, if you feel compelled, you can also get a clear drink that looks like alcohol, and you can add some ice cubes in it, and you can give company to people. You don't have to feel, and if they feel that you're not drinking alcohol, you feel pressured, be a leader, don't be a follower. Okay. Moderate binge heavy drinking, I'm not going to go over this, but these are very heavy drinkers, and that's not good for you. Just because of the lack of time, I'm not going over all of these. So those were the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. Healthy lifestyle, as you can see now, that genetics, while important, they are not necessarily a destiny. Lifestyle medicine is your destiny. It is estimated by American Heart Association that 80% of heart disease is preventable. Top lifestyle changes among all of these is whole food plant-based diet as well as behavior change. If you change your behavior, then automatically you will get better sleep, you will exercise. So that's all related to behavior. B12. B12 is a vitamin that is not present in plant foods. It comes only in animal foods. So many people have animal foods to get B12, but do you know that cow only pastures on the grass, right? It eats only plant-based foods. Elephant eats only plants, right? They're huge big. So then if they are eating plants, why do we have to eat their meat to get B12? What happens was olden days when we used to grow vegetables, we were not eating such clean foods like washing vegetables with soap. Today, because of COVID, people are going crazy washing their vegetables in salt water, and we try to remove every bit of dirt from the vegetables because the dirt is not clean anymore. So when these animals are having grazing on the grass, they're actually consuming the soil that has the bacteria that make B12. And the bacteria that they're consuming, when you eat animal foods, you are eating that bacteria from the animal food, and you think that eating animal food gives you B12. It is the bacteria that the animal is consuming is giving you B12. So regardless, if you are fully plant-based diet, you're not having any animal foods or milk, I would strongly recommend at least 2.4 micrograms of vitamin B12 daily, because B12 is water soluble. You can have more, there is no harm. Also, as you get older, all the B12 is not absorbed by your body. So you can, in fact, it is a good idea to have a little bit more B12 than what it is recommended. A plant-based B12 is also available if you're interested in having plant-based B12. And what was I going to say? So it is not necessary to eat animal foods. I would just recommend supplement. Then calcium also. There are many other things to discuss. We can take in question answers. Some of these recipes that I'm posting here, I have tried myself. You can try to cook dals with all the spices and then add a little salt in the end, and it tastes as good as the dal that you use with tadka or tempering. But if you wish to use tadka, use very little oil and use with high smoking point. If you are trying to, I have tried cooking my dals with spices in that and then adding kokum or tamarind or whatever. I also put mustard seeds, jeera in there. But what happens when you're cooking your dal with all these spices? Those spices can strongly seep in. So you end up using less spices than what you would put in tadka. Because when you put tadka on top, you're not getting all the flavors of spices right away. But when you cook these spices with the dals, you need less spices, so just be careful. Um, Microbiomes and microbiota, I'm just going to go quickly over it. Why are we talking about this? Because the diet is a big source of fuel that comes from the microbiota. We have 38 trillion microorganisms in our body and millions in our gut. So we may use this word micros, microbiomes, microbiota in different alternatively, but all of these are used by the same meanings. But basically what it means is microbiota are the microbial cells, whereas microbiome is the DNA of these microbial cells. So microbiome is the DNA and microbiota are the cells, but either of it is used is fine. The largest microbiota lives in your gut, and what it means that if you have a bad colony of microbiota because you're eating wrong foods, these microbes feed on the food that you eat. So if you are eating wrong foods, these microbiomes are going to keep demanding the wrong foods because you have bad colony of microbiomes in your body. So you have a power to create the right or the wrong colony of microbiomes in your gut. So you're essentially 50% human cells and 50% microbiome. You're like a super organism. So how do you know that you have wrong microbial colony? When you're eating wrong foods and you start getting symptoms like foul smelling gas, bloating, excessive burping, reflux, excessive mucus production, skin rashes, eczema, all of these means that you're eating wrong foods. So when you eat right foods, your healthy microbes, your gut microbes will thank you. Many studies indicate that healthy gut microbes positively impacts your heart and reduces inflammation. So what is inflammation? I'm just showing a picture of your hand because most people, any word that ends with itis means inflammation, like gastritis, arthritis, colitis. It means inflammation of stomach, inflammation of colon. So it is inflammation is not just arthritis. Heart disease is an inflammatory disease. Kidney disease is inflammatory disease. Digestion problems is inflammation. So all this comes because of the wrong microbes. The wrong microbes means inflammation and toxins. So my personal experience, I do intermittent fasting most days. I usually eat an early lunch and then an early dinner, and then I skip breakfast. If I do eat breakfast, then I might eat late lunch, and I will skip dinner. So I practice whole food plant-based diet. I try to eat most foods oil-free. Here I'm in India right now, and I'm letting go of some of the things because I cannot be fussy here. But when I'm home, I usually cook everything oil free. I have seen that personally when I engage myself in cooking or busy with something else, I don't feel hungry. So when you feel hungry, think, are you really hungry? Try to engage yourself in some another activity. When at home, when I start feeling hungry is when I start cooking. So the cooking takes another hour or two, and I can easily wait while I'm cooking. So what does it mean? That I had the false hunger before, when because it was time to eat, I was falsely hungry. Once a week, I sometimes try to even do 24-hour fast, and I might get a few hunger pangs here and there, but then it goes away in an hour or 15 minutes or half an hour, and then you can easily get away by fasting for 24 hours, which means that whereas some people who have a very strong digestive fire, they cannot do 24 hours, they can try intermittent, but that is just a suggestion, you don't have to do it. Spices are very good for your health, especially turmeric, ginger, garlic. They're all anti-inflammatory. But you can use all kinds of spices generously. Just make sure that the spices don't have added salt to it. Spices light up your digestive fire and they add taste to the food, of course, without adding the oil. Sugar. There are studies that indicate that many people will have Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, or desserts with sugar substitute. Studies show that when you have sugar substitute, you are still satisfying your cravings for sugar, right? So you're really not getting away from the habit of eating sugar. You're just having sugar substitute. So studies show that you even having sugar substitute can stimulate insulin. Your habit of eating sugar continues to persist. If you're having juices, you lose the fiber. So avoid having juices. Stick to fresh fruits. Fresh. If at all you're having smoothies, then make sure you're having the entire fruit. Do not try to take the juice out and throw the fiber out, because it can promote insulin resistance. So what should I be eating for sweets? There are many recipes available on YouTube. One of them is nutritionstudies.org. You can go there and look for recipes. Click on the menu. There are many dessert recipes. I have myself tried many recipes like kheer. I make my own almond milk at home, and then I cook whatever in there, like the flaxseed alsi, or I might do sevaya in there, and just cook it with. I sometimes will add figs, dried dates, and if at all you feel like you need to add a little sugar, you might want to add a little bit of jaggery for taste. But the recipes I have tried, I have fed my guests at my home, and they don't even know that it is plant based, like including moong dal payasam and so on. So be a leader, not a follower. You can serve other plant based desserts like I just mentioned. I've tried laddus with nuts, ragi, makhana flour, and then I've added peanuts or peanut butter or almond butter. Almond butter will give that taste of the feeling of stickiness. So you can skip the ghee and add dates. And the laddus have come out great. I have served them for Diwali at my house, and I've served moong dal paisam. And people went for seconds and they asked for recipes and they didn't even know that it was plant based. So don't just assume that everything that is tasty has milk and no milk is not. There are many recipes on monkeys and me, nutrition. These are not Indian recipes, but I have modified my recipes based on their recipes and they come out pretty good. Okay, so these are some of my personal recipes. Soups, dal. This dal has no oil. This eggplant curry or the bengan sabji has no oil in there. What I basically did was use the dried mustard crackled on the dried tadka pan, and the kadi patta in there, and I've added on top, or I've cooked it with it. I've stir fried onion on a cast iron pan with a very low heat, and the onion can get as brown. I have served dudhi kofta to my guests, and I have used cashew paste and no oil, and it tastes as good as you would use oil. Usal, we call it sprouted lentils. The sweet potato rata is a kis that is called in Marathi. I have made it with just stir frying jeera, mirchi, kadi patta. Then I added my shredded sweet potato in there, and then I added peanuts in there. Excuse me. Can you give me water? I've added some roasted peanuts in there, and that is the fat. Just give me a moment. I'm going to have a sip of water. Thank you. So what it means is that these are not fat-free recipes, but these are oil-free recipes. In the masoor also, you can add some sesame seeds, you can add some dry roasted coconut. So the fat is just coming from a different source. I have made these chapatis without oil. The red chapatis are made from pureed beets. Dudhis, I sometimes make pureed palak chapatis, pureed methi. So I'm not making necessarily parathas by adding spices. You can add spices, but I just add flour to the pureed things just to add more vegetables. The green moong dal pesarattu, or the other dosa that I've made from bajra. So all of these are different things that you can make. So don't think that how can I cook Indian food without oil. You may want to season the oil on the iron griddle initially, so that the tawa becomes seasoned before you make your dosa, so that you don't need oil, or you can put very little oil if you need. These are some of my one bowl meals that I take at work. Might have quinoa, couscous, brown rice. This is the potato cauliflower curry that I made just cooking in oil. I added ginger, garlic, turmeric, chili powder, and then I made a paste of tomatoes with either coconut or peanuts. and then I just ground and poured it on the sabji with curry, and it comes out perfect. I mean, it's just a matter of getting used to it. At home when I cook, most of my family doesn't even know that it's cooked without oil. I tell them later on that this had no oil in it. This patta, the leafy vegetables, the matki, all of these are without oil. Some more of the one mole beans. This rice, the leafy vegetables, the mung sprouts, the carrot kachumbar, the patar bhaji, that is a very typical Marathi item. The usal, all of them are made without oil. The only thing I've used oil is the bhindi. And then the masale bhat, which is very popular in Marathi rice, which has a lot of tindi in there. I made with oil, but then later on I had invited my lady friends and I had made a pot full of the masale bhat, and I cooked without oil, and then I sprinkled generous coconut in there, and none of them knew that there was no oil in there. So it comes out pretty good. I make my own almond milk and oats in there. This is also, the other one had just sweet potato. This one I've added some shredded carrots, green pepper, red pepper, yellow pepper, and then I just made the same to make it more nutritious. Salads and almond oil. So all of these are some of my recipes. This is not today's talk, so depending on the time we can let it go, but going vegan can reduce water footprint by almost 60%. Just replacing 50% of your meat consumption with edible plants can reduce the carbon footprint by 30%. All the resources that go in food, creating food. In USA, I know that about 80% of the land is used to grow corn, and that corn is fed to the animals, and then we kill the animals to eat them. So what are we doing? We are using 20% of land to grow our plants and fruits, and 80% of land we are growing food for animals so that eventually we can kill them and eat. So does it make any sense as humans that we are doing this? It also, food system, so much other things are involved: energy, fuel, gas, plastic packaging, chemicals, additives, greenhouse emissions today. When you are creating agricultural farming, meaning you are giving growth hormones, chemicals, antibiotics to animals, you are giving them the hormones so that to get them pregnant much faster, and you keep the cows year-round pregnant so that they continue to give calves, and then they continue to produce milk year-round. The cow does not get a break, and this is just not natural way of having milk, right? Olden days, when we had desi cows, people used to feed the cows with love, and we used to let the cows, babies, drink some milk from them before we took the milk. But none of that happens today. So when we have agricultural, industrial farming like that, the cows and the animals that poop, they create methane gas, and they can cause deforestation, and they can create a lot of greenhouse emissions. So what makes a sustainable diet? They are protective, they're respectful of the biodiversity, and it's a personal choice. Some people do it for health, some people do it as an emotional choice. They are culturally acceptable, nutritionally adequate. So how can we make a difference? We can make a difference by industrially raised, reducing the consumption of industrially raised animals, reducing plastic food packaging. When you take lunch at work, take stainless steel or use glass containers, don't use plastic. Reduce food waste. So we have the power to help create the change. Some of the benefits of regenerating or organic farming is they have higher phytochemicals, they prevent chronic disease, they support human microbiomes in the soil, and they reduce the risk of new generative diseases, reduces for infertility and birth defects. So in essence, in summary, whole food plant-based diet, to plant a garden is to believe in tomorrow. So what are today's pointers to take home pointers? Eat a plant dominant diet. If you're not able to completely change over, at least eat a plant dominant diet. Exercise, sleep, stress, social networking. It is like a therapy. When you hang out with people of similar nature, it's a therapy. Avoid risky substances like alcohol, smoking, and drugs. Some of the resources, you can go and look up yourself on YouTube, and there is that's a Caldwell Esselstyn, the lowest one, Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn. He's the cardiologist. Dr. Bernard, Dr. Brooke Goldner, she had very, very bad case of lupus when she was 16 years old, and she went on plant-based diet, and she drinks a lot of green smoothies with flax seeds and hemp seeds and chia seeds, and she's completely cured of lupus. Dr. Aisha and Jean Sarzai, they are the neurologists, and they promote this diet also to cure or prevent Alzheimer's disease. So some of this was my presentation. Sorry for a little delay. I think we also started a few minutes late maybe. So I'm going to stop sharing now and go back to the meet. Okay. So thank you so much for listening to my blurb, a very long call. So you should just take what suits you and what is good for you. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you, Swati ma'am, for such an interactive session and a wonderful session on the plant-based food, wholesome foods. I know a lot of us are going to take away good information that you shared, and we are going to work on it. But yeah, before I keep on talking, I think I should allow others to ask questions if they have any.
Sure.
So
yeah, I mean, it's a tough diet to follow, but I don't think it is tough as long as you're motivated and you want to do this. If you want to do it, it becomes easy. But if you are trying to force yourself to do it, then it becomes harder, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any questions, please raise your hands. And
Prajakta, she's my cousin from New Jersey.
Okay.
She logged from Prajakta. She logged from New Jersey. Thank you so much. It was 6:30 in the morning there, and she logged. And Neeta is my she logged. She joined from Bombay. Thank you all. So please go ahead, and anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Well, I'm living proof of the fact that I visit Swati Dai and she cooks, well, oil-based, that we're so used to in such a way and creative way. I always follow her on Facebook to kind of see her new diet and or how to prep something that I've been prepping for years, not so well. So thank you for always staying on top of it. And a true dietitian is the one who practices what she preaches. She definitely practices what she preaches, which I appreciate.
Thank you, Prajakta. And I see here Hari Krishna Sharma ji, he has raised his hand. Please go ahead.
My 4 questions. Sorry, there are multiple questions while you were in the presentation. Ghee, mustard oil, these 2 items should be reduced because my diet, my entire family diet, and my all neighbors, they mostly cook using these 2 ingredients.
I don't think I can hear you well. Can anybody hear him? I'm not able to understand fully. He's breaking.
No, we also are not able to hear him.
Yeah. कुछ तो मस्टर्ड ऑयल के बारे में आपने कहा, लेकिन ठीक से सुनाई नहीं पड़ा.
Okay, ghee, mustard oil. These are 2 main ingredients in North Indian, in my family and in my neighbors, in my friends. So what is your opinion? How much can we reduce? And let me quickly put 2 more questions. Vitamin B12 and vitamin D. These are mostly deficiencies running across, like my doctor said, multiple doctors said that B12 and vitamin D. Should we take annual medicines? And lastly, about ghee.
So let me first answer about ghee and mustard oil. So mustard oil has a high smoking point. So if at all you are using oil, then groundnut oil and mustard oil is a better option. But I have some Punjabi North Indian friends and I've asked them how to cook mustard oil. So most of them will say, पहले उसको गरम करो और उसको smoke करो. Smoke निकल जाने के बाद mustard oil का smell जो बहुत stink आता है ना, वो कम होता है. So when you're smoking it, then you're oxidizing it. So try not to smoke that oil. Ghee again, I mean, if you have cholesterol in the family, a lot of people have high cholesterol. So, I mean, my recommendation is if at all you're using it, use the organic milk का घी जो बनता है, वो कम से कम वो use कीजिए. आपके at least, antibiotics and hormones इतना नहीं जाएंगे पेट में. But it's up to you. I mean, I am preaching no oil, so I cannot speak for you for saying use ghee. But yes, I make Punjabi food like rajma and all of that without oil, and it comes out pretty good. But I will use some other sources of fat.
Vitamin
And
D
then
and
the
vitamin
other
12.
was
Annual vitamin D and vitamin 12.
yes. So B12, as I recommended, if you are having oil and milk, then you are likely getting B12. But if you are pure 100% plant-based, then I would recommend taking a vitamin B12 supplement. Though I must say that the liver in your body stores all the vitamin B12, and liver has a great capacity. So even if you went fully plant-based, it can store B12 for about 3 to 5 years. So it's not like you went plant-based and within a month you will become deficient. But if you plan to be a plant-based all the time, then I would recommend taking B12 supplement. Vitamin D comes from sunlight. If you are somebody who regularly goes for walks outside in sun, most of us don't these days. Whether it's India, USA में तो मिलता ही नहीं है sunlight because of the cold weather. But even in India, just because it's sunny outside, your at least 30% of the body needs to be exposed to sun, and you need to be outside in the sun for at least 20 minutes to 25 minutes for you to get vitamin D. If that is not happening, I would take supplement, but instead of taking blindly, I would get a lab test done and see if you have a deficiency. If your vitamin D is less than 30, you have deficiency and you should take vitamin D. D3 is more potent than D2, and there is a plant-based D3 also available. So it's up to you what you want to take. But yes, D3 has become a deficiency has become very common these days. So another way to keep your calcium intact in your bones is by doing exercise and working out, keeping the bones strong. Because if you are just having vitamin D helps improve your calcium absorption, right? But if you are not working out, it doesn't work like that. By drinking 4 cups of milk, just having vitamin D will not necessarily make your calcium go up. So to give my example, I did not have calcium deficiency, but after I went plant-based, my calcium levels actually went up. So because I'm eating clean food and I exercise. Another example of is hemoglobin. Most people think hemoglobin is a good source from meats. Since after I become plant-based diet, my hemoglobin has also gone up. My protein numbers that is determined by often albumin level. It never was in goal when I was trying to have Greek yogurt, protein bars, हर तरह का protein मैं खाती थी पहले because I was vegetarian. Since I stopped eating all that crap, my albumin for the first time in my life is 4.2, which is greater than what it should be. So by plant-based diet, my albumin or protein numbers have actually improved. So
And
but
then
to
lastly
answer
about
your question,
yeah, and lastly about tea. Most of us must be teetotaler than alcoholic. So that advice, if you can advise how much tea, what type of tea.
Oh,
Yeah.
tea. I thought you said vitamin D. Sorry.
Tea.
Yeah, so tea also, tea has tannin and caffeine in there. So you should limit it to 1 to 2 cups a day, max 3, but it's up to you. But it really, especially at night time, you should not have too much caffeine that can cause sleep problems. So the less, the best. I would not recommend any certain number of cups because I'm not even recommending it. But yeah, 1 to 2 cups a day is okay.
How about rice bran oil, which has come in the market nowadays?
Yeah, as I said, yes, you can use the rice bran oil, but I'm not even recommending oil. So yeah, you can use any oil of your choice, but rice bran is a good oil also. Yeah,
Rice bran oil is good comparatively.
sorry.
Is rice bran oil good comparatively?
Yeah, it is okay. You can use it. Yes. Anybody else?
I
Yes.
think I saw someone raising hand.
Yeah,
Mr.
Nita.
Bhagat.
Swati, if someone recommended that I should eat leafy vegetables like
Yes.
spinach and all this. When I started, I got kidney stones. They said no, reduce it. If I reduce calcium, I got osteoporosis. What should if I eat sprouts, I get bloating. So what is the proper diet?
So eating sprouts, if you get bloating, try eating cooked sprouts as much as possible and start transitioning. Don't eat like a big bowl of sprouts. Start with smaller portions. And then if you don't, you will know at one point ki आधा कटोरी खाने के बाद मुझे bloating शुरू होता है. So keep the limit to that.
And what
And
about
then,
calcium and all these things?
So like I said that I don't drink milk at all, and my calcium levels have gone up. So calcium does not necessarily get absorbed in the body unless you exercise.
Okay.
So when you exercise and engage yourself in strength training, weights, and all of that, then your calcium in your bones will improve. Not just by taking calcium supplement or D. And vitamin D improves calcium absorption. So if you're not taking D and if you're just having calcium, it will not help either. So you should take vitamin D also.
How do you increase your hemoglobin?
Thank you, sir.
Sorry?
How do you increase your hemoglobin?
So hemoglobin, there are two types of hemoglobin. Kanan, अपने पास थोड़ा time है ना?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Pardon?
So there are two types of hemoglobin: heme iron, or rather iron, heme iron and non-heme iron. Heme iron is present in animal products, whereas non-heme iron is present in plant products.
Yes.
So heme iron gets easily absorbed, but now research studies show that heme iron can cause a lot of health problems, including heart problems. Whereas non-heme iron is easier to digest, but then because non-heme iron is not as well absorbed as heme iron, the recommendation is to have the leafy vegetables or kidney beans or the rajma or black leafy vegetables, all of that with a vitamin C rich food. So say for example, if you're having rajma or palak ki sabji, then try to have cucumber with it, sprinkle some lime juice, add some tomatoes in it, or have an orange afterwards, or start with so that to get a vitamin C. But if you're having raita with your high iron food, raita is yogurt, right? Dahi. So dahi has calcium in it. Calcium tends to bind with iron and makes the iron less available. So in order to increase your hemoglobin intake, best idea is to avoid having raitas or milk products, chas and all of that with the high iron foods. If you're having just like say bhakri and bengan bharta and then you have a chas on the side or yogurt, it's okay. But if you're having high iron food, then avoid having dairy products with it to increase the iron intake and hemoglobin intake.
I don't eat raita. I have it more of pulses, dals and everything.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah.
But still the hemoglobin is not increasing.
Yeah. So, like I said to you, that my hemoglobin went up when I went plant-based diet. So try to combine vitamin C rich foods with high iron foods, and then get it checked. Talk to your doctor. Sometimes there can be other health issues related to low hemoglobin, not always with diet. So I would definitely get it checked with your doctor or with a hematologist, and make sure there are no other health issues going on. Okay.
And ma'am, about timing of the exercise, early morning करना चाहिए या फिर lunch के बाद, breakfast के बाद, evening से पहले?
जिसको time नहीं है वो तो कभी भी करता है, but ideally empty stomach exercise is best. I have seen myself when I don't eat and I do my yoga, morning yoga, my flexibility of the body is amazing. But when you eat food, breakfast के बाद वगैरह करोगे तो definitely you will not be able to be as flexible. You will not move as fast as you would without eating. If at all you want to eat, maybe just a small like piece of toast or something, just like a fruit, apple, ऐसा थोड़ा सा कुछ खाओ. Some people say that सुबह सुबह कुछ खाया नहीं तो उनको थोड़ा सा acidity होता है वगैरह. ऐसा that is simply not true. Hunger does not cause acidity, but the acid load foods cause acidity. So I would recommend empty stomach exercise. But if you really want to eat something, then I would recommend a piece of fruit or something like that, and then exercise.
And ma'am, the nibu pani early morning, first glass nibu pani and then garlic.
Nimbu pani is very good. In fact, most of the fruits and vegetables are alkaline in nature, whereas meats and dairy products create acid load. So nimbu pani is great. Yeah, you can have it.
And ma'am, upper limit for almonds, how much almonds for growing baby, for adults, and dry fruits, should we soak them in the overnight?
It all depends on how much other types of fats you're having. If you're having like oil bhi kha rahe ho, ghee bhi kha rahe ho, almonds bhi, to then you're adding too much fat. But somebody like me who, if I'm not having oil, then I would recommend about quarter to half cup of nuts or seeds total for the day. depending on your weight. If you are overweight and you are trying to lose weight, then eat less. No more
Should
than
we al-
quarter cup.
should we always soak the almonds and dry fruit, whichever we consume
Soak?
overnight?
Did you ask
Soaking
Yes,
overnight.
soaking is better because nuts have a chemical called phytates, and phytates tend to bind, especially Neeta was saying about stones. So phytates and oxalates can create stones. So when you soak your nuts overnight and then rinse it off with 2-3 rinses, then the phytates or the oxalates will reduce from the nuts, and that's a better way of consuming it. Will also digestion will also improve.
Should
Some
we
people will get. Go ahead.
should we mix a fruit with milk, like mango shake, chiku shake? Are those recommended, or like?
Well, I am
should
not
we avoid?
recommending milk, so you decide whether you want to have milkshake or mango shake. Not my forte because I don't drink milk. But if you want to have it, I know Ayurveda says it's viruddhanna. So viruddhanna means, they say kela or milk, fruit and milk. Ayurveda does not recommend. They call it viruddhanna. But you can have whatever you want. I don't recommend it because I don't even have milk. So it's up to you.
How do you increase your weight, ma'am?
By having more calories. So have if you want to increase weight, then you can have more nuts, have a good night's sleep, also have foods, not just like salads, and उसमें बहुत कम calorie रहता है, right? So you should have more beans and dals and nuts and seeds that have more calories.
I'm having all that, but no effect.
I mean, I don't know. Some people have very fast metabolism. So if you're exercising more, then, and also you don't need to try to increase weight. If you have at a good BMI, your recommended BMI is around 19 to 23, 20, 21. So if your BMI is at that, then you don't need to try to increase weight.
Okay, thank you.
Madam, about water, it is recommended 8 glass of water entire day. Is that
वो
sufficient?
सब अभी पुराना हो गया. 8 glasses of water. पहले बोलते थे, but I noticed myself that since I have become plant-based and I eat lots of fruits and vegetables, all fruits and vegetables are very rich in water. So your need for water will automatically decrease. But when you go to bathroom and if you see your urine is very yellow or you're not peeing a whole lot, then you need to increase the water content. But if you are going plenty to bathroom and your urine is all clear, not concentrated, then you are likely getting enough. If you want to drink more water, it is fine. But there are people who have health conditions, high blood pressure, they are on diuretics, and all of that is not necessarily the good idea to drink water. So it is a general recommendation. It does not fit all population. And if you are thirsty, but sometimes older people have their thirst mechanism goes down and they don't necessarily feel thirsty. So I would recommend at least a liter of water a day minimum. But 8 cup पीना ही चाहिए, ऐसा कुछ जरूरी नहीं है. Eat plenty of fruits and vegetables. जैसे अभी समर के दिन में watermelon खाओगे, तो 99% is water in watermelon, right? So you're getting water that way. You don't necessarily need to drink 8 glasses of water. Okay.
Ma'am, I think one of the Mr. Bhagat, he is raising his hand. So can we have a query from him? And then
Yeah, of course,
I think
of
that's
course.
the last question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go
Mr.
ahead,
Bhagat.
Mr. Bhagat.
I see only few people on the window, but
Yes. So any more queries anybody is having?
Thank you. There are many queries, but nothing affects me.
I'll be glad to answer whatever I know, and whatever I don't know, I can find out answers for you. But I really truly appreciate everybody staying and asking questions. If you ask questions, it shows your interest in the topic. And
I do all yoga, exercises.
Good. That's great.
Nothing affects.
That's great. You're doing good job. So keep up with it. Okay. Yes, Vasudha, you want to say something? Yes.
Yeah. I want to thank Swati because last year Swati introduced me to this plant-based diet.
Vasudha थोड़ा मोठा नहीं बोल, ऐकू नाही येते. थोड़ा close in बोल. Clear ऐकू नाही येते.
I was I have a sore
Yes, I
throat.
know. Yes,
Yeah.
I know, Vasudha.
So, Swati, I want to thank you because you know that I had a severe migraine problem. And last 1 year, I started only 5% of the plant-based diet, what Swati told me. And I had sent on one article where it said that migraine would go away with plant-based diet. And believe me, it has happened with me. It has worked with me. Last 1 year, I have stopped having all the milk products. I'm not taking anything. And last January, there was the last attack I got. And after that, I'm all fine.
This is
And this is like, I was not believing it, but it did happen with me. And the migraine I was having with so many medications, so many doctors, nothing worked out. And it was with me for 20 long years. So
this
thank
is
you, Swati.
great to hear, Vasudha. Thank you so much for giving a real testimony here.
Yeah,
It's great
thank
to
you. I
hear
wanted
that
to
it actually
really share
works.
this, so I thought
Yes.
I would share it towards the end so that everybody takes it that it does happen and you should really go for it. Like those who can really do it, please go ahead and try it.
Thank you, Vasudha. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
So once again, I would like to thank our captain, Kanan Patel.
Thank
She's
you,
the
ma'am.
captain of Pune Fitistan, right?
Yes.
So thank you very much for bringing this along with Shilpi madam. It's my privilege to present this to you all.
Such a wonderful session. I'm sure a lot of takeaway for everybody, and I'm sure I'm definitely going to work on the plant-based food. So thank you
I know,
so much,
Kanan, you
Swati
are a
ma'am.
lifestyle coach yourself, right?
Yes, I'm a lifestyle coach myself. So
You are healthy, and I know you come to our studio. You are one of the healthiest people I've seen. So keep up with it.
yeah, so just trying our bit, and I think Fitistan team and all other who are here, they have got a good information from ma'ams, and I'm sure you will work on those plant-based food, lena chalu karoge, and try to keep yourself healthy and fit, and eat right, madam?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, if you cannot do 100%, do some.
Yes.
It does
Yes.
help.
Small wins every time. So just go
Exactly.
for a small wins.
Small steps. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much.
I think we should. Nobody has any more queries. We should stop this session here.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Swati ma'am. Thank you everybody for joining
Great.
in. And
And I'll see you at
amazing
the
session.
studio, Kanan, soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Prajakta, for coming. Bye, everyone.
Both of the thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.